I scared.
Hello. Nice to see you. How are you? Good. Yeah, he's around for
Check 1 2. Hello, check test 1. Check 1. Check 1 2. Hello, test 1. Hello, check 1 2.
ভাইয়া এগুলো মনে হয় আপনার। ভাইয়া এই যে
Thank you. Thank you.
এই যে
Thank you. That helps. It's really neat when I.
Yes.
I'll charge you $10 each.
Oh my gosh. I owe you up until now, what, 30? Do you use Vmix? What
No,
software?
I don't use vMix, but I use vMix in the studio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you work with yesterday where we were?
Yes, I was there. I saw you there.
I know. You work there?
No.
You work for, oh, okay.
No, I don't know. Our studio on Hillside Avenue, 168 Street.
What station is
So viewers television, Jamaica local.
And that one yesterday, was it a TV station?
Yes.
I've never heard of them before. I've never seen them.
I think they didn't study yet. They hired some guys to open up. They're doing some tests on that. Thank you.
I thought tonight was going to be there. And I was ready to go, and then they told me, excuse me, I have to take a taxi.
Oh, I see.
I didn't realize it's here.
I think you're.
I'm thinking. You have no other stand.
No, still I forgot to bring.
Hi again.
Different scene today.
I didn't realize.
What do you think?
Because I'm the first person to come here, and then you told me the little light, so you know the things.
Yes.
Just let me turn it on.
Ruben. Okay. Other than holding the light,
The crowd is gonna, I mean, most of it's gonna be live streamed today, so, you know, we have a lot of
We
audience.
can
can we,
hide.
will this fit on here? Can we put the speaker on the table? It'll be a side light, but it's better than a low light.
Yes, I think.
But I'm not sure.
Hi, She and I said,
Okay.
Then yes.
I'm with the presenter today.
No, it's too small. Okay.
Well, we have hanger here. Maybe we can hang somewhere. There is another strong one, but this is not heavy.
Hanging it well is the question. Although here I'm giving too much side light.
I would say you figure it. All we need is light here.
Yeah.
If you can bounce back, that's fine. But to bounce back, we cannot hit the camera, this camera, this camera, this camera, the light.
With the floor here, bouncing up here,
Now, I think that should help, but let's see.
it's not the best,
Yes.
but
Always the camera don't see the floor. The
Yes.
camera don't see the floor.
Yeah, it's on Epicenter YouTube. Yeah.
nice to meet you.
Wait, I'm the admin for tonight. So then it's Epicenter NYC.
Sorry.
Wait, you know what? Yeah. Shit.
Can you handle another chair next to
Parking,
you?
you can't find those before.
Are you okay with
Jackson
another chair
has
next to you?
second and 35th. Wait, I'll just show you.
Oh, we're getting good light.
Well, they're all my friends, so I got to do a lot of work with them.
Keep me still, dance to my will while I study. Calm and strange.
Yeah, I told her to check it out.
All is right.
Next away,
Told from death's lamplight.
put a chair here then.
Love is so easy, like the rain. Wash me clean.
Put on the chair.
Private friend. 'cause I'm
I was having a lot.
Don't keep me 'cause all maybe I need to hear. Prove that I
You might have. It's still right.
don't just got my way. Breathe in rhythm, take it slow.
Can we lower the light here by 50%?
Yeah, there is a dial. Best.
Music's my calm, quiet place. Soothe mind, flow through time and tone. Feels like peace I call
How can you see there?
Welcome everybody.
More?
David's bar mitzvah.
More? Are you sure?
Welcome down to the family.
Mr. Ruben, that thing is sitting
Yes, it is.
tiny.
Yes, it is. Okay. I'm going to try to give it an angle.
Yes, yes, yes. The thing.
Tell me when it's good.
Yes. Perfect. Perfect.
Yes?
Perfect. Yes. Yes. Great.
Morning light through my window pane. Soft breeze all the stream. Coffee steam, the world still slow. Music
Until last week.
plays.
2 weeks ago, they let us go.
Every note feels like
And then now I do real estate and I do. No.
across the keys for
Abu? Abu? Let's check on the signage.
intertwined.
And you, is the signage
Yeah, we are in the same spot.
too much light on the signage?
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Perfect.
Perfect.
You can come. Come here. You check.
No, it's just your angle from here.
Working, dreaming, drifting slow.
Yes, you're good.
Yeah.
Their names are gonna be a little bit over.
Oh no, I'm gonna zoom in. Yeah, no.
Soft bass hum,
No, it's on zero the exposure. It's fine.
No, Ruben.
smooth chords pulling me within. Thoughts in
Just you can straighten the name Jennifer. You can straighten.
both combined. Every time paint skies are blue. Simple moments feeling new.
I hit the right between them. Because that gives you the best the light. He's using two cameras, but it's right in here.
Peace in the sun. Flows so I feel steady, slowly the mind. Soulful groove clears my mind. Let it play, don't let it in. Music's the voice I call.
Yeah, I already set it up. Hello?
Yes. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
He's with you, right? No.
But he's
Are you the owner? I am the owner of
I'm coming
I'm Ruben.
peace in the sun.
It's such a wonderful.
soft light still, I breathe and smile. Stillness stays for a little while.
Low light, but it's fine.
You got too much? Tell me.
And I feel
They're gonna be low
gentle.
light, but it's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah,
That's supposed to be audience reaction?
Yes, yes.
Okay. That's camera 2, and camera 1 is just them?
Yes.
Okay.
Camera one, right. Yeah, that's this one, and that's going to be audience and some speaker.
Check.
Like this.
Good evening, everybody. I know
Wait, are we starting?
Yes.
Oh, hold on.
Quick question.
Yes.
Are you going to do audience participation?
We can see like this.
Because if you don't, I could go on 2 cameras. Focus on you and separate to get more focus.
I got you.
What do you think?
I think most of it is team, so I don't think the questions we got was in Google Form, so I think we don't need to do audience. Yeah.
Abu,
Yes.
can we change the camera around to just them and this one on them because we don't really have an audience?
Yes, you can come on.
Sure.
How you do sit up?
You have to recruit them in your team.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the good thing. This is just for fun.
Maybe where there you go.
I'm sorry,
Japanese.
Japanese.
Yes.
On both of them, can you both sit down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now I
Give
see.
me heads up when you start so I can
Yeah.
start the stream.
We're about to start as soon as they give me the green light.
And
Okay,
and then we need to focus on David and Jennifer.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Can you get that
wait,
camera?
wait,
Yes.
hold on.
Yeah.
On one.
Ready to go?
No,
You're fine, right?
no, give me a second.
Jennifer is fine.
We're still waiting on the live stream. Just give us a second.
Sure.
Jennifer
Feedback.
No. Should we just do one mic?
Jennifer,
We
come.
have to share this.
We got a free director.
Where's that feedback? Is that from that?
That's by the speaker. No?
That's the speaker. Yeah. Sound. Speaker. Speaker. Hamaरी speaker.
Away from the. Are we okay?
Yes. Yes.
No, I have an issue with the, it's not letting me start.
We still have a slight delay on the live stream. You want to continue the now?
Do you know OBS? Can you
Is it bad?
help
Is it-
me?
is it
It's
bad for
not
me, or-
starting. Can we hold a little bit?
She's still trying to connect to the live stream.
It's giving me that it's the wrong stream key,
Check, check.
but I'm copying the stream
Check.
key from YouTube. And it's not.
सामने आ जाओ.
You can go back and
Okay, she
I got Sherry Williams in the cut. Okay. Listen, she runs one of the biggest food pantries in Richmond Hill.
No. Now it will work.
It's a pain in the neck. Welcome everyone.
perfect. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
No problem.
You all look fabulous tonight.
Wait, you are.
You gotta get his contact. Bikini hat.
If you want to try,
No.
refresh your
We're
page.
in there.
I think it's like, it's,
I think it is too.
yeah.
Well,
I mean,
you lost
so
it.
it's,
I need to write it too.
yeah, okay.
Fabulous. I'm going to up the light just a little
Yes,
bit more.
yes, yes, that
It's
will be
just,
better.
you guys are really, really warm. Tell me, Abu?
Yes, that's fine.
Fine. You live?
Good? Everybody's good. All right, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for being here. I know it's not the turnout we expected, but there's hundreds of people watching on live, so we are very excited to be hosting this. We want to thank our candidate, David Orkin, that made up time during such a busy time of election. Early voting is actually, it's happening right now. So thank you so much for being here. This is what it looks like to be a candidate that cares to hear directly from the people and want to talk to the people. So we're very thankful. We're going to dive right into it because I know you got other things to do right after. So 2-minute opening statement and then we'll dive into our questions.
Yes, thank you everyone for having me. Assalamu alaikum. Namaste. Thank you. Welcome Jeffrey from A.M. Rajkumar's team. Thank you for being here. My name is David Orkin, and I'm an immigrant workers' rights attorney and union organizer, and I'm very proud and excited to be running for assembly in the Democratic primary for District 38. I have been working in the immigrant rights movement for over a decade. My mom is an immigrant from Mexico and grew up in the border region with Mexico and the United States, and that has inspired me my entire life to work for immigrant rights. I've spent my life fighting to get queer and trans people out of detention centers. I've lived in migrant shelters in Mexico and the United States. I have helped countless people, many of whom live in Queens, fight deportation and be able to stay in this country with residency and citizenship. And I've also, as an attorney, worked in the workers' rights field, defending many people who are my neighbors right here in Queens, defend themselves against very pressing issues such as wage theft, gender discrimination, sexual harassment, and especially right now we're seeing is retaliation in the workplace. I'm running for office because the district has proven that they really want someone who's not only more progressive, but also someone who's very present in the community. This community, both the South Asian community of Ozone Park and South Richmond Hill, and also across the District 38, voted very, very heavily for our new mayor, Mamdani, and I'm very aligned with his platform. I'm going to Albany to make sure that the mayor not only has a partner, but really that there is an assembly person who's paying attention to the district. Unfortunately, my opponent has spent the past several years very absent from the district, not paying attention to the very, very serious needs that people here in, we're in Woodhaven, but in South Queens generally face. And ultimately, my goal in office is to be excellent at my job. I'm not seeking higher office. I'm not seeking to advance my career. I'm seeking to have this job, to keep this job, and to be really good at this job, to work for you, the people of South Queens. Thank you.
All right, our lovely guest, Ms. Orkin, thank you for coming. I just want to say, I am a constituent. I vote right down the block from here, but I held back. I was waiting for tonight's debate, see if my mind changes. Yeah, let's get straight into the questions. All right. So, Assemblywoman Rajkumar has represented 8038 for half a decade and would likely point to experience, seniority, constituent services, and federal funding delivered to the district as reasons why voters should support her re-election. You have argued that the district needs a different kind of leadership. What specifically is not working in 8038 today, and what would you do differently over the next 2 years if elected?
Yeah, as I said previously, what I think the people of 8038 really need is someone who's present, and someone who's listening to them, and someone who's advocating for them. Not someone who's focused on finding higher office, as we've seen with the current Assemblywoman. Many of the constituent services that she provides would happen anyways, but she takes credit for them. This is a very disturbing pattern that she engages in. And I'm really looking forward to making sure that I'm meeting people where they're at and delivering services that are really needed. I have knocked on thousands of doors across South Queens, and I have talked to countless people, and I have learned so much about the pressing needs of these communities. I do feel as though I already know many of these needs, since so many of my clients, while I was working at Make the Road New York, are also my neighbors and people that are, as I said previously, experiencing not only the brunt of the federal oppression against immigrants, but also the extreme cost of living crisis that we're all experiencing here in South Queens. But I've really gotten to know what's going on, and there are such specific needs that need to be addressed that the Assembly member is really not concerning herself with. Flooding is a huge problem that people are experiencing right now. Just the immediacy of having your home flood, but also looking to a long-term vision of how do we transition our economy off fossil fuels to stem the tide of climate change, right? These are not things she's talking about. The pedestrianization of so many of our roads here in South Queens, whether it's Woodhaven Boulevard, Jamaica Avenue, Atlantic Avenue, Rockaway Boulevard. These are plans that have been either not created or been stalled because there's not funding from Albany, right? And I think that what's so necessary in this moment, federal oppression, is that we need to have the courage to say to Albany that we need to recapture the revenue that was lost from the federal budget cuts and the big tax giveaway that was given to the billionaires so that we can invest in our communities. This is a long way of saying tax the rich, right? Recapture the revenue that was lost when Trump gave $12 billion back to the billionaires. That is a very long way of saying tax the rich. But why is this something my opponent will never say? This is something my opponent will never say because the rich are the people who are funding her. She does not get her funding from people who live in the district. She opted out of the state's matching funds program. She gets her money from people outside the district. She has 6 billionaire donors who are funding her. She has people from the Upper East Side, people from Westchester, people from Long Island, and those are the people who are telling her what to do in Albany. That is why she will never ever have the courage to say we need to tax the rich and we need to invest in South Queens.
Thank you for that response. The next question is in regards to the future of Queens. AB 38 is one of the most diverse districts in New York, spanning neighborhoods with very different economic realities. What do you believe is the single greatest challenge facing the district over the next decade, and what concrete state actions would you pursue to address it?
Yeah, this actually flows quite nicely from my last response, specifically because we're gazing over a cliff right now. Right now, we are walking towards a cliff, and that cliff is the tax revenue crisis that is going to stem from the federal budget cuts that Trump just gave back to the ultra-wealthy in the state. If we do not recapture this revenue, we all are going to feel it. No matter who we are, it is going to be felt in our trains. Well, you don't take the train, you drive. Guess what? Our roads we're going to lack the infrastructure that we need. You drink water, our sewer system isn't going to be up to date. We need to be updating our infrastructure and investing in Queens, and the only way we're going to do that is if we tax the rich and recapture this lost revenue. The moderator also said something that's very important, which this is an incredibly diverse part of Queens, right? And there is the rising tide of far-right extremism happening all over the world. This is felt so tangibly by people in Queens. We have such a diverse community of people. We have people from Bangladesh, we have Muslim people, we have Punjabi and Sikh people, we have people Indo-Caribbean and Hindu people, we have Jews, I'm a very proud Jewish person, we have immigrants from all over the world, and we all need to live together, and we need to be promoting ideologies and sentiments of peace between one another. We cannot be promoting far-right extremism that is, for example, those movements that are associated with my opponent. She is never going to speak up for Muslim communities adequately. She is never going to speak up against caste-based discrimination. And those are things that are really felt here in the community. Why won't she ever do this? Why will she not do these things? It is because of the people who are funding her. This always comes back to the same issue. I am someone who, my funding comes from the Matching Funds Program and the people of the district, but also, even if you take that aside, I have always fought on the side of peace and justice. I'm a Jewish person who has advocated for Palestinian rights my entire adult life. I've on the forefront of the movement for Jewish solidarity with Palestinian people, and it has been one of the most soul-fulfilling experiences of my life to have the support of the Muslim community here in South Queens.
Thank you. The next question is on the topic of affordability and cost of living. New York State controls tax policies, budget priorities, and major affordability programs that directly shape the cost of living in Queens. What is the single most impactful state policy you would fight for to reduce the cost burden on working class families in 8038, and how would you pay for it?
Thank you. I mean, this is a logical flow from the past conversation, but I think, you know, I, of course, support the Invest in Our New York package, which is the suite of tax the rich bills that are being discussed right now in Albany that were not implemented in this past round of budget negotiations that I will fight very hard for. I, along with my friends in the DSA and the Working Families Party, very much pushing for things like universal health care, universal child care. But I think the things that would really ease the burden of affordability for every person across 8038, because as we know, 8038 is very diverse, not only racially, religiously, ethnically, but also in terms of politically and economically. There are many homeowners as much as there are renters. There are people who own small businesses as much as there are workers. And we all are feeling the squeeze. We all are victims of a tax code and an economy which privileges the ultra wealthy, right? So one affordability measure that I believe in very strongly that I think is going to really make things easier for people in South Queens is property tax reform. This is the reason why our rents are so high. This is why small homeowners, small landlords, renters alike are experiencing such high costs of living, is because people in South Queens are paying a higher property tax, higher effective property tax rate than people who live in multi-million-dollar condos in Manhattan. I think that this is very unjust. I think the tax system should not be based on property taxes. I think that it should be easier to own a home. This is incredibly important for immigrant families who are getting a foothold in the middle class here in the United States. And I believe that it gets passed on to renters especially, and driving up the cost of housing across this district.
Awesome, thank you for that. You actually stole that, the answer for the next question, so we're going to skip that one because you answered it kind of there. The next question has to do with immigration. District 38 is home to one of the most diverse immigrant populations in the country. With increased federal immigration enforcement and fear within immigrant communities, what role should New York State play in protecting undocumented residents? Where should the line be drawn between state cooperation and federal enforcement? And would you support expanding state-funded legal defense for immigrants or strengthening sanctuary protections statewide?
Thank you. How much time do I have? Okay, well, start the clock. This is obviously incredibly important to me. I've dedicated my life to the immigrant rights movement, and particularly defending people against deportation here in Queens specifically. I think there are so many things a state assembly person can do, and I generally categorize them into two different buckets. The first bucket would be legislation, and the second bucket is what do you do as a person who has power, right? Because our power as elected officials is much more than just passing laws. So the first bucket, legislation. In the recent round of budget negotiations in Albany, in the recent session, there was some advancement made in terms of protecting people from ICE raids. So parts of New York for all were passed, not all of it was passed, and dignity not detentions, which prohibits the expansion of privately owned detention centers, is definitely a step in the right direction. But if we think about the immigration system, as I often do, as a machine that has a system of cogs that are intertwining, that turn to get people deported, the state of New York has intersections with the federal system at every meeting of the cogs. And it's the state's responsibility, a state that runs on immigrant labor, a state that has historically been welcoming for immigrants. That's what Statue of Liberty is all about. My family came as immigrants on my dad's side and landed in New York here, right? It is our obligation to throw as many cogs as possible, so there's as many wrenches, sorry, I'm getting my metaphors mixed up, into the cogs of the immigration system as possible. And the way we do that is to limit data sharing. For example, when the Green Light Bill was passed, which allows undocumented people to have driver's license, it had to be reformed later on because they were giving undocumented people's information to the government and telling them where they lived. we have to make sure that the state government is not sharing people's information with the federal government. And we also, very importantly, and this is not being discussed at the state level, and I'm really looking forward to introducing this legislation, is making sure that private data companies are not collecting our personal information and then selling it to the federal government for the purposes of immigration enforcement. They scan our license plate. Every time you open your phone, they're tracking your movement. They have data about you didn't even realize they knew about yourself, right? And they're selling that to the government for the purposes of immigration enforcement. In terms of what you do as constituent services, you have to be on the ground making sure people are connected to the right services. You have people providing the services. There were 3 people detained in Ridgewood, right in my neighborhood, 2 weeks ago. I stopped everything I was doing. I was on the ground. I connected their families to legal services and make sure they had the right legal processes in place. My opponent was nowhere to be found.
Thank you. For the next question, we're switching to the topic of public safety and quality of life. So residents across 8038 consistently express concerns about public safety, not only in terms of serious crimes, but also quality of life issues that directly affect daily life in neighborhoods like Woodhaven and Richmond Hill, including persistent reports of street-level prostitution, illegal vending, and associated disorder. At the same time, many community members emphasize the importance of ensuring enforcement is fair, culturally sensitive, and does not unfairly target immigrant populations or small vendors trying to make a living. What specific policies would you support at the state level to address these public safety and quality of life concerns in a way that balances enforcement with community trust? And how would you measure whether your approach is actually improving conditions on the ground in 8038?
Thank you. A couple of weeks ago, I was at Eid at Masjid Al-Aman over in City Line, and I was talking to a lot of people there, and a guy came out and he said, if you can get the cops to show up to my house in less than 5 hours when I need them to be there, I will vote for you. And I'm also hold in my heart the death of Win Rosario, which happened just a few blocks outside the district. This is a person who was experiencing an extreme mental health episode and called for help and instead was shot by the police and killed. So how do we hold these two things, and what lessons can we learn from these different situations that people are experiencing across the district? And I really believe in making sure that when there are emergencies where it's not appropriate for the police to be responding, the newly formed Department of Community Safety should be the people intervening. We should have people who are trained mental health experts, trained in crisis intervention, who are not carrying weapons and not trained with violence in order to meet those emergencies and make sure people are safe. This will have the dual effect of making sure that people have the resources that they need, and also making sure that the police are not doing jobs that the police are not trained to do. The police are not trained as mental health professionals, they're trained as cops, so they should be doing that job. In terms of other quality of life issues, I really think that it comes back to the lack of investment that South Queens has faced, and I'm really, really committed to make sure that there's more money earmarked for investment here in South Queens and more diversification of businesses, making sure small businesses are supported so that we can have more variation in the kinds of activities that take place in South Queens, and that'll bring up everyone's quality of life, particularly when it comes to the pedestrianization of many of our streets, which a lot of local businesses find to be one of the main barriers to getting more business.
Awesome, thank you so much. Moving right along, the next topic is about healthcare. Queens residents, especially immigrant communities, continue to face barriers in accessing affordable and culturally competent healthcare. What should New York State do to strengthen those services and funding to underserved communities like 8038? And also, do you support expanding state-funded healthcare coverage regardless of immigration status?
Well, the second question is very easy. The answer is yes. I love the yes or no question. I think that when it comes to healthcare, and I think that I bring this framework into many, many different topics that are explored when it comes to government services, but I want us to remember when it comes to the issue of healthcare that there is more than enough money in the healthcare system specifically to give everyone high quality, free healthcare. The problem is that the money gets caught up in battles over insurance. All the money that we pay the insurance companies is spent fighting with insurance companies, and instead it should be given to people for healthcare. So I believe in free universal healthcare. That's one of Raj Kumar's staffers taking a picture of me in the back. Welcome, you can come inside.
You can join the debate.
Yeah, you can join the debate. I believe in high quality of universal healthcare for everybody, and this is going to make a number of things happen. One is that it's actually going to reduce the cost of healthcare in the United States and in New York State. Let's think about that for a moment. These numbers, this data that I'm citing, comes from the National Institute of Health. This is a federal-run agency. It is not coming from some, left-wing think tank. This is coming from the federal government itself. Says it is more cost-effective to give everybody free healthcare than it is to run a private healthcare system because the insurance companies are eating it up. So yes, I believe in the New York Health Act, which would provide free healthcare, a single-payer option for everybody, and also making sure that anyone can access healthcare, because we know that the cost of denying someone healthcare reverberates through the community. I'm unfortunately. So many of my clients, when I was working in McGraw, sustained really serious injuries on the job, whether you're working with a table saw that falls and it hits your tendon, or you have a finger cut off, and this happens every single day. And the cost of that person's sustained injury reverberates to their families, to their communities, to the people they need to pay with whom, as they live their life, and it creates a cycle of debt. So the costs to our entire city of not providing people healthcare is so much greater than the cost of just providing them care when they need it.
Okay, thank you. The next question is concerning the reason why I was almost late today. It's on the topic of transit and MTA accountability. So District 8038 is one of the most transit-dependent districts in New York City, with major reliance on subway, buses, and the MTA system. What specific reforms or funding priorities would you pursue in Albany to improve transit reliability, affordability, and service in Queens? And what would you like to see implemented? Queensway or Queenslink? Please specify why. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is actually something very interesting, because when you go, I want to open up the window a little bit. When you go out campaigning for New York State Assembly, a lot of people are going to ask you about issues that are under the direct control of the city council, right? Like, New York State Assembly is about the budget, and the city council is about city services. They're like, why hasn't my pothole been fixed? And it's like, well, I'm going to work with the city council person to make sure they have the funding so they can fill the pothole, and push them to fill the pothole, but really, city council does that. Except for the MTA, right? The MTA is actually the jurisdiction of the state. And there's so many improvements we can make to the MTA, little things that I could do in the first couple months, and also bigger projects, right? So if I'm thinking about South Queens in particular, we have the J train, which is just outside. For those of you who are watching from home, hello, I'm acknowledging you, you're seen. But also, it's right outside, we're underneath the J train, and also the A train below us. And this is direct jurisdiction of the state assembly person. We can get little spikes on the train to make sure the pigeons don't ship over Jamaica Avenue real quick, but you just have to be a person who's really going to push for that, right? I really believe in making transit free and investing in it, because it is going, again, that investment, just like free healthcare, is going to reverberate far and beyond. Imagine how your commute to work could change if your bus was free. The bus being free is going to make it faster, because you don't have to wait for people to scan their credit card or their phone or whatever to get on the bus, And even though we do have train service out here in South Queens, this is a very, very bus-dependent neighborhood, because you cannot get north-south without a bus. Every high school student in South Queens is taking the bus, right? Every kid who goes from Woodhaven goes to Queens College, they're taking the bus. Every David Orkin canvasser from Forest Hills who's coming out to Woodhaven to pass out literature is taking the bus. We all are feeling it, and we deserve fast and free buses. This is about changing our city infrastructure to make it bus friendly. It's about making the buses free, not only to reduce the cost burden on people, they're spending, you know, $50 a week, adds up, but also that making it free is what's going to make it fast, and we have to keep those two things together.
Thank you for that. The next question is slightly outside your district, but will have a tremendous impact in your district.
Oh, I didn't answer that.
And you want to go ahead? 30 seconds.
Yes, I'm definitely in support of the Queens Link because the Queensway people want a park, and the Queens Link will also include a park. And we can have both. We can have it all, everybody. We can have nice things. We can have transit. We can have parks. We can have bike lanes. And we need to invest in a vision of Queens where people can get around easily. And the fact that we don't have more north-south transportation options in Queens is what isolates people in South Queens. People in South Queens feel a feeling of neglect and isolation, and having increased north-south transportation is really going to ease that feeling.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So yeah, going back to the initial question we're about to ask is regarding the Resorts World Casino. As you know, Resorts World Casino was given approval to expand its operations. Neighbors say in the last 15 years that the casino has been in the neighborhood, quality of life hasn't really improved. The casino leadership says otherwise and point to all the donations they've made to not-for-profits. Although the casino isn't in your district, if elected, what would you do to ensure the casino lives up to the promises it made to the community? And how will you mitigate the negative impacts that casino usually brings along in the neighborhood?
Yeah, this is outside the district, but it's felt by a lot of people because it is a huge use of resources, right? The casino takes up an incredible amount of space and it employs a lot of people. We need to look at the numbers and compare that to what the casino has promised. Is the casino actually employing people from Ozone Park? Is the casino really giving back in the way that it has meant to? Because I don't think that a charitable giving, which is discretionary, it's not mandatory, there's no rule that says they have to give money to charity or to nonprofits, it's just something they do to have a good public image, let's just say that. Let's compare those numbers and really see, like, is this working for the community? I believe that the role of government should be to redistribute resources in a way that only the government can. We need to be building beautiful and affordable housing. We need to make sure that people are getting the jobs they need, that the jobs that they have are paying adequately. We need to be investing in our infrastructure. We need to be transitioning our economy away from fossil fuels. I do not believe the job of government is to enrich a billionaire. The job of government should not to be giving tax breaks to a casino. I believe the job of government should be serving working people and doing things only the government can. And so when we ask ourselves, what are we going to do about the casino, I think we really need to ask, what is the casino doing for us?
Okay, thank you. So the next question, we're gonna turn it up a notch. One of your most frequent criticism of Assemblywoman Rajkumar has been the amount of money she has received from far-right Hindutva organizations and individuals. Her supporters would argue that her campaign contributions do not determine how she votes and that she is ultimately accountable to the voters of 8038. Why do you believe that these contributions matter, and what concerns do they raise about elected officials, how they represent their constituents? Also, what reforms would you support to ensure that members of the Assembly remain primarily accountable to their constituents rather than to large donors, independent expenditure groups, or national political organizations?
Thank you. I think that we're in a very interesting political moment in the city, in the state, and across the country, and it is becoming extremely accepted that you are accountable to the people you work with. If you are working and accepting money from far-right extremist groups, and then you go and are the champion of blocking the anti-caste discrimination bill, it should be pretty plain that you are acting in accordance with the will of your donors, right? My opponent was congratulated publicly by the Hindu America Foundation, which is a far-right extremist group supporting Hindutva in the United States, for blocking the anti-caste discrimination bill. Who lives in the district? People who are discriminated against on the basis of caste, right? I am a white guy, but I am not so clueless to know this is not happening. I am working with people on the ground. I've heard countless testimony of people who experience this in South Queens, and it's a very, very serious issue. Why doesn't she advocate for taxing the rich? Well, who are the billionaires who have funded her and maxed out their donations to her every single campaign cycle since when she started? They're people who have a vested material interest in making sure that they don't get taxes. Billionaires donating to political candidates is not because they have feel in their heart is the right thing to do. It is a business strategy. It is an investment strategy. When she blocks bills to tax the rich, it is the return on their investment, right? These people, I mean, maybe they know her personally, but they might not know her personally. They give out money to the people who think they're going to win, they can control. This is how politics works. That's why the matching funds program in New York State is so important, because it allows a person like me to run who is only accountable to the community, who only wants to be accountable to the community, who wants so badly to be present and to do a good job for the community. And it means that I can, when the lobbyists from ExxonMobil or the Hindu American Foundation or whatever it might be come knocking on my door, I don't have to answer for them, right? It's very, very plain, and increasingly it is becoming apparent that who you take money from in politics determines what kind of outcomes you get in office. And we don't have, it's not rocket science. You can see she gets money from these people, she makes these kinds of decisions. It's very simple.
Just a quick follow-up. How do you define Hindutva ideology, and what will be different about how you engage with the Hindu community and other religious minorities in your district if you win?
Yeah, my understanding is that Hindutva is associated with an ethno-nationalist ideology stemming from South Asia, which also gets felt by people here. A belief that one social group should have social and political dominance and have certain access to certain rights that other people don't get. This is very, very similar to other ethno-nationalist ideologies which are espoused all over the world, whether it might be white nationalism here in the United States, or MAGA, or Zionism in historic Palestine, what's called Israel. And it's something that I feel very personally as a Jewish person, someone who was told that Jewish people should have more rights than Muslim people in certain places in the world. And it's something that I wholeheartedly reject. We live in the United States. People move here from all over the world. My family moved here from Mexico and previously Russia to have equal rights, and we need to live up to that standard. We need to make sure that people should have equal rights under the law here in the United States, and that includes discrimination based on caste.
Okay, thank you for that. So your next question is on the path to your victory. In the most recent mayoral election, Zoran Mamdani carried 80-38 in the big way. Your opponent, Assemblywoman Rajkumar, also opted not to endorse him both in the primaries and general election. Many observers see your campaign drawing support from some of the same progressive activists, volunteers, and organizations that helped fuel his rise. Given this context, Mayor Mamdani has decided to stay out of the race. Were you disappointed by that, and what would you say you are doing similar to Mayor Mamdani to get that same level of support he got last year in this district?
Yeah, I think that, as I said, I have knocked on thousands of doors across the district. I've talked to so many people. If I have forgotten your name in our second meeting, I sincerely apologize, but I do remember you. But the message really resonates, and the mayor and I are part of the same movement. We're with the DSA, and we're trying to advance the same goals, which is making sure that we have an economy and government that's really focused on the needs of working people. And that is ultimately what resonates at the doors and what's going to carry us to finish line in this election. Our path to victory is based on that message. And, you know, I was out knocking doors, last night in parts of Glendale, which is considered to be a more conservative part of the district. And every single person I spoke to was, ranged from like, yes, I'll vote for you, to being like, can I canvass, can I donate, what can I do to support you? Someone was so excited to meet me, they had heard all about me. And it's because I'm giving a vision of South Queens where we have an increased commitment from our elected officials and increased investment, and that we're part of a larger political moment. this message resonates across the district. I'm really fortunate to have the support of so many community groups, whether it's Drum Beats, Make the Road New York, the Working Family Party, etc. The same groups that carried our mayor to victory. And I'm also so fortunate to have the support of so many South Asian groups here in South Queens, particularly in the Bangladeshi Muslim community, which have been very supportive of me. And it's just been one of the great honors of my life, I'll say that. It's very, very fulfilling to connect with people who are very different from me, have very different backgrounds from me, and for us to say we want the same things. We want an economy that looks for working people. We want to tax the rich and invest in South Queens, and we want to have a politics that's really based on dignity and equality. And it's just been a really wonderful experience, and I feel very confident that that'll carry forward into the election.
Awesome, awesome. As we are about to wrap up, just two more questions. One of the last ones, and I think it resonates a lot in this district, is regarding the Israel and Gaza conflict, the ongoing conflict. AB 38 includes residents with deeply personal connections to both Israelis and Palestinians. How do you view the ongoing Israel-Gaza conflict, and what responsibility, if any, does state electeds have in addressing its local impact on community relations, hate crimes, and public discourse? In addition, when you have sitting elected officials like Councilmember Ina Warnikoff and Vicky Palladino spewing hateful rhetoric every single day, how do you plan on tackling the rise in Islamophobia and anti-Semitism this conflict has led right here in New York City?
Thank you. This is obviously a very important issue to me as a Jewish person and someone who's committed much of their adult life to the Palestine solidarity movement. And what's so vile about a public official saying something Islamophobic or saying something racist and hateful in a public forum is that it says that those ideas are permissible, right? Like, let's think about that. Like, if you are a person seeing that and you also had, inclinations towards those kinds of hateful thoughts, you would say, well, now it's okay for me to say that too. Now it's okay for me to act on those things because the person in power isn't going to stop it, right? So it's not just about like that person said something that was terrible. It's about that's actually permissive of more violence. And it's so important that no matter what our political leanings are, that we are making space for people to just live their lives in New York City. And the only way that we do that is by having a vision of New York City that's based on diversity, a vision of New York City that really embraces all the different kinds of people here and say it's okay to be wherever you're from, because this is a city for you. We all have a right to live in this city more than just like everybody else. Regarding the war in Gaza, this is something I've been very unequivocal about, that I'm against the occupation of Palestine by Israel. I believe the genocide did not start in 2023. The genocide started in 1948 when Jewish settlers from Europe had colonized Palestine and displaced 700,000 people in what's called the Nakba. This is a part of my family's history. This is something I take very seriously. The people that I was referencing are people that I'm related to, that I have distant cousins who were part of that movement, and we need to call it what it is and acknowledge that if there's ever going to be peace abroad, we have to make these very kind of concrete and realistic statements, like this is what happened, this is what's happening. I believe that to combat Islamophobia, to combat anti-Semitism, racism of any kind, whether it's systemic or interpersonal or random acts of violence, each one of those things, when you're permissive of one of those things, you're permissive of all those things, right? If you're permissive of someone doing and saying something Islamophobic, then you're opening the gate to someone doing something anti-Semitic. And it works in the other direction as well. So I think having a zero tolerance for any kind of hateful speech, any kind of discriminatory violence is of the utmost importance if we are going to create a city that everyone has a right to live in.
Yes, thank you for that answer. And let's go into one of your last questions. One of the biggest critiques we have heard thus far is your connection to the district. For anyone who thinks you just moved into the district to run for office, what would you like to say to them?
I don't think anyone's saying that I moved to the district to run for office. I think that's something that people say about my opponent. my opponent and I have been living in the district for actually the same amount of time, right? So I think that I'm someone who's very sensitive to the extreme displacement that's going on in parts of Queens. I believe that, I know for a fact that we've been living in the district at the same amount of time. The difference is that I moved to the district, immediately started giving legal services to low-wage immigrants, immediately started protecting people from displacement, immediately started organizing workers, and my opponent moved here with the intention to run for office because, in her own words, and she told this to an editor at the local newspaper, she moved here because it has the lowest voter turnout in New York City, and she believed, in the subtext of that she believed that she could manipulate the people of South Queens into running for office. She ran for office twice in Lower Manhattan and couldn't get elected. She moved here to get elected, and then she immediately started running for higher office. She ran for comptroller, she ran for public advocate, she was campaigning on policies on the Upper East Side, trying to raise money for policies that would immediately harm people of the South Queens, right? She has no problem throwing the people of South Queens under the bus, whether it's forging their signatures on petition sheets, disrespecting them in public office and ignoring them, or campaigning on the Upper East Side for policies such as the broad criminalization of e-bikes that would harm workers right here in South Queens. So I am very, very sensitive to the fact that neither of us have lived here for more than a decade, but of the two of us, I really, have shown that I'm very, very committed to the community here. If you have listened to my life story ever, I don't think I went into the full thing at the beginning, but I've lived in a lot of different places. I've lived in Mexico, I've lived in the Southwest, I've lived in the North. I've lived all over, and it was not until I moved to Queens, and this corner of Queens, that I really felt like I had a home. And it really is disturbing to me that the place that I call home has people who are being sexually harassed at work, and if they complain, they're going to have ICE called on them. People who are experiencing a mountain of debt because they're not paid properly at their job. People who cannot go and get on the bus for fear of ICE. I don't want to live in a place where those things are happening, and that is what motivates me to go to office. I don't have ambition for higher office, unlike my opponent. I have ambition to serve this community.
Quick follow-up. Quick follow-up. How did she do in her run for public advocate? If I don't think
I don't know the stats overall, but she lost in 18 points in this district alone, so it doesn't really show that she's very popular.
Who did she run against?
And she ran against Jumaane Williams. And
who did Jumaane endorse? I think we don't know.
Yes, Jumaane has endorsed me, which I'm very grateful for. He's here on my list.
Says a little something.
I believe that he's sponsoring our canvas tomorrow, so.
Awesome.
We would like to have some time with the public advocate. You can come and say hi to him.
Cool. So now we're gonna go into a little lighter round.
Okay.
Just a lightning round, something fun. Just keep your answers under 5 seconds. One word. Favorite restaurant or small business in the district?
I have many. I really, really like this diner on my corner, 1 block away, called International Coffee Shop, which is like a Dominican diner that has been there for 20 years. And I've grown very close with them, and they're very supportive of me. But they also... 5 seconds, yes. And also
Yeah.
Cosmar Sweet House on 101st Avenue.
That's a good one. All right, favorite pastime or hobby when not campaigning?
I'm really into cooking. I like cooking a lot.
How do you rate the job Zohran Mamdani has done as mayor, 1 out of 10 so far?
I would give it a 9.
Do you support congestion pricing?
Yes.
Has Kathy Hochul been an effective governor? Yes or no?
How do we try to find effective? She gets the job done, but on kind of a slow schedule, and she has not been very effective in promoting policies that actually improve working people's lives.
Do you support Chuck Schumer as a Democratic leader in Senate?
No.
Do you support Hakeem Jeffries as a Democrat leader in the House?
Maybe.
Do you consider what Israel is doing in Gaza a genocide?
Yes, and the genocide started in 1948, not 1923.
All right, awesome. Okay, so last question before we give you 2 minutes to do your closing statement, is the South Asian and Indo-Caribbean communities have been increasingly influential part of the electorate in AD 38 and other parts in Queens. During the 2025 mayoral election, we saw record levels of voter participation, civic engagement, and political organizing from these communities. If elected, what specific steps would you take to ensure South Asian and Indo-Caribbean residents remain engaged with government beyond election day? And how would you make sure their voices are represented in Albany?
Thank you. I want to state very plainly that I would not be in this election if it were not for the support of the South Asian and Indo-Caribbean community. I decided to run for office very much because people in the South Asian and Indo-Caribbean community were looking for someone to challenge my opponent because they were so dissatisfied with her. And they found me, and I had a very nice life before this. I quite enjoyed my job at Make the Road. I quite enjoyed serving the community there. And they were like, we want you to run. And I was like, that sounds kind of crazy to run for office. And then they convinced me, and I'm really happy to be doing it because I think they really need someone in office who's going to be listening to them. I think, you know, political organizing is something that reaches its zenith sometimes during campaign season and elections, but I think it's something that we need to be doing all the time. And I really believe in making sure that I'm engaging with community organizations on a kind of a constant basis to make sure that they feel investment in the decisions that I'm making in Albany. I don't believe that politicians are heroes. I don't believe that politicians have all of the right answers all the time. I don't believe politicians fix everything magically. I believe that an effective politician is one that is a vector for the will of the community and one who is listening and engaged with the community and is there to work for the community, not to wave a magic wand and have everything done. What my commitment is to everybody here and everyone who's watching at home or on the subway or the bus, wherever you are, live streaming, is not that I'm going to wave a magic wand and make sure everything gets fixed magically. It's that I'm going to be very present, I'm going to be working hard, I'm going to be making sure that more resources are invested in South Queens.
All right, unless your opponent has any rebuttal, you have 2 minutes for a closing statement.
Thank you, I think I just gave it. But I really appreciate the opportunity to be here, as I said. This has been a very, very neglected part of Queens. And there's no reason why South Queens should have less investment and less attention than any other part of Queens. We see Western Queens getting bike lanes, getting new infrastructure, new traffic lights, better streets, better sewage system. There's no reason why we can't have that too. The difference is that you need an elected official, especially one in Albany, who's determining how much money we get, right? That's what people in Albany do. Really, really honking the horn, saying, we need more in South Queens. The community here needs more, and that's what I'm really looking forward to. I believe that the projects that have to improve our quality of life have been stalled because of this neglect, and I'm really looking forward to reversing that pattern and to making sure that you have someone who works for you. Thank you so much again for having me, and look forward to earning your vote by June 23rd.
Thank you. Can we give a big round of applause to David Orkin? Before we head out of here, I just want to give a quick couple thank yous. Before you head out, please purchase something from this small business, Tropical Restaurant. Can we give them a big round of applause for opening up their space? I want to thank our live streaming brothers and sisters here that came out. Thank you, Epicenter, the team of Epicenter, as well as WeTV US that made sure that they're here. And thank you to our brother here that provided sound. Also, other members of the media, thank you so much for being here, because this may be a small turnout, but the amount of people watching live is what was going to count. And like we mentioned, you know, both candidates were afforded the same invite. Told them, listen, if you can't make this date, we'll change it to this date. And David showed up. So we thank David Orkin for being here. We wish you nothing but the best for your election. And come June 23rd, you may be the next assembly member. So thank you so much. Whoever you go vote for, make sure you go vote. Thank you once again.